not have a quorum. Meeting to order. Can I do that without a quorum?
Sure. Yeah,
Yes.
There's four of us. How many do we need?
Well, I just found out that this committee is supposed to be a committee of 19.
How is that? That's not true.
Some minutes that I found, so there's some clarification that needs to take.
Call it to order and do that governor's order and all that crap, and then we can actually discuss it.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Westborough TV, I don't know who's behind the scenes, Jeff, Aiden, Karen? Okay, great, thanks so much. Okay, well, we're ready to go. So good afternoon. Welcome to this meeting of the Hocomonco Pond Reuse Committee. Today is Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. It is 4:02 p.m. Being that we are holding this meeting virtually, I will read the governor's orders that allow us to do so. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Hocomonco Pond Reuse Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. To view the meeting in real time, visit Westborough TV at www.westboroughTV.org or email Hocomonco at town.westborough.ma.us for remote meeting access. Just as a note, we actually posted the link to this on the Hocomonco webpage, which is part of the town meeting webpage as well. So folks can click on that and access it during the meeting. In the event we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we'll post on the Town of Westborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting, or at https://www.town.westborough.ma.us/hocomonco-pond-b-use-me. Wow. I'm glad the pandemic is over, because after this meeting, unless the orders change, we can't meet this way, so I don't have to read that again. But thank you and welcome. I see we have a handful of members of the committee present. We have some members that are on vacation or were otherwise unable to make it and did let me know, so I appreciate that. And Peter, thanks for joining us as a guest. Appreciate your participation.
Thank you.
So before we get into the agenda, it has come to my attention in part just because I was trying to create an email distribution list for myself as chair so that I type everyone's name in. And when I was looking down at the email list, I noticed, or the member list, I noticed I didn't have emails for everyone on the list. And so I reached out to the town manager's office, and that led to, hi Hank, how are you? We're just getting started. That led to some discussion and the creation of, or revelation, if you will, of minutes that extend to, back to, I'm pulling it up here, April 24, 2018, when this committee was established. And when it was established with 19 members. So that would require, first of all, for this meeting, a quorum of somewhere between 8 and 9 people. I can read off that list if anyone here wants me to read that off. But we've got to sort of sort through this and revisit the membership, because I think we're moving along sort of swimmingly with the membership that we had, but that's not what is on record for for membership. So I think this has to come back through the Board of Selectmen at our June 22nd meeting to, for clarification, hopefully not reappointment or anything, but if nothing else, for clarification.
Okay, so there's nothing, we shouldn't take any official acts.
No, I mean, that's the long story, but I just wanted, you know, everyone to be aware of that.
Can I motion to adjourn? No, just kidding.
Well, yes. So, so I think that there is no action that we can take here. There's no discussion we can have. We don't have a quorum. I mean, well, we could have a discussion, but we couldn't take any official action. And being that we have far less than the full committee here, I think we should adjourn to the next meeting.
Yeah, Shelby, can I ask you, when the committee was, I guess, reformed, did anybody look at the original makeup of the committee, or like how did that?
I have two different lists.
Revived.
Yes, so I have two different lists, Mark. I have the one that's on the website, right? Like on the Hocomonco Pond, like here are the members, and then the meeting minutes, which of course are the official record, which to be honest with you, when I was brought on, I didn't look back at those minutes that form the committee. And I just, and as I assumed responsibility from Jordan, I just went off that list and proceeded along. So,
yeah, no, I guess my question is when the selectmen were, I guess, reappointing members to this committee, who decided that, there's going to be a representative of the planning board, there's going to be at large, like, did the select board, have a discussion of the makeup and vote on that, or was it just kind of?
So, yes, so I think there are three elements. We've got the original formation, and then we have what would be more recent appointments or reappointments. And being that I just got all this information today, I have not sort of gone back and, tied those together. I just haven't had time.
Okay.
So we're going to do that and kind of be like, okay, what have we most recently voted on? How do we reconcile that with the original creation of the committee by the select board? And what do we have to do to square those?
Shelby, there was
a lot.
There was a substantial time lag between the time that the committee was, between the time I was appointed and the time of the first meeting. Was like more than a year, I believe.
Well, and as an example, for example, because one of the things that came up is that the town manager is listed as being a member. So when I saw that, I was, honestly, in my mind, I kind of was like, oh, maybe it's one of those town manager or select board designee, because sometimes we do that, right? The school building committee is an example, although that's a different appointment. But on this list is Mass DEP, a member of the Green Technology Advisory Group. I mean, that's how old this is. GTAG is in, it's Sustainable Westborough. So I gotta go back and reconcile this, and then we just need to go ahead, Hank. You were supposed to say something.
Oh, that's okay. Whatever. I mean, we just straighten it out and start, and we'll begin again.
Yeah. The good news is we do have an update. I know Peter and I have been involved in some conversations about bright fields versus brown fields, and we've got ideas going. So we've got some momentum. We don't want to lose that. I heard that loud and clear from the last meeting, but we just got to make sure we get the right people attending the meeting, that we're acting accordingly. So.
Fantastic.
Okay, so with that, I guess this is your gift on a hot, steamy day to go out and play or stay in the air conditioning. I will send an email to everyone on the committee with clarification as to where we're at. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Shelby?
Yes, Gary, sorry.
Is there some reason not to provide the update?
Oh. Well, we can't take action on it. We certainly can discuss things if folks want to. I mean, I'm happy to do that briefly.
Sure.
But if there's
Okay.
new information, then just
So,
hearing it.
oops, sorry, I'm just getting my pen here, ready to take some notes as well. Just running down through the agenda, don't have the April 28 minutes, so that will have to be carried over to another meeting. The building and property security update. So I think folks are most aware, one, the building has been secured and keys are in hands of Jim Stewart as facilities director. And the fire department obviously has access to those keys. And of course, the fence keys remain unchanged, the locks. But that has been secured. There's still some follow-up going on with the electrical service and all of that. And I drove by the other day, and it does appear that as a quick drive-by that the fence has been repaired. The police there was a report, a truck or tractor trailer hit it. And they were aware there's a police report filed, and so that has been repaired. So that sort of takes care of item number 2. Are there any questions on that? Okay. Just one more thing. I'd asked the town manager if we needed any signs on it, like no trespassing, and there doesn't seem to be a need for that given how the property is secured at this point in time. So I'm going to ask that we pass over discussion around property reuse because we don't have a full group here, and so that doesn't make sense. But as an extension of that, there was recently a webinar that I attended. Actually, Patrick Welch, who was, as you know, is a member of the select board, also attended part of that. Peter, you were on that, and Pete Dunbeck also attended. And the title of the webinar, thank you, Mark Silverberg, for sharing that link with all of us to make us aware of it, was brown fields to bright fields. So it was I can share the link because folks can go back and listen to it. It was a fascinating panel of individuals from across the state and actually beyond Massachusetts who have experience in turning brownfields into solar fields. And they talked about a number of different projects that have been done here in Massachusetts. They talked about how to educate the community, what were the hurdles they went through, what is the process a community would need to follow if, or recommended sort of first steps. And they talked a lot about grant funding that's available to support communities and the developers. Peter, so do you want to add anything about just as an overview of the webinar, Peter?
No, I think that covers it pretty well. You're probably leading up to this, but one of the companies that is a developer of brownfields to brightfields was in the same breakout room as Pete Dunbeck, and she followed up with Pete, and we actually had a call yesterday with them just to talk about the process that one would go through if the committee ultimately determines that it's interested in a portion of the site being developed as a solar field.
So that would be part of our next committee meeting update. I think that as we think about reuse, that should be a specific discussion. That conversation, is intended just to sort of be exploratory and just even understand, does the town take the first step? Do you sort of engage a developer? And so that was, Pete and Patrick, the 3 Ps had that conversation. So it kind of more is an extension of Sustainable Westborough than this committee. So Peter, do you want to just give a couple minutes on that, just at a very high level? Because we'll talk about it again at the next meeting.
Sure. There were 2 representatives from this company. It's called AC Power. And as I said, their business is in developing brownfield sites into solar fields. And we told them that we're really interested in talking about process with them, understanding if the committee ultimately decides it has some interest in developing solar fields on part of the site. How does it begin? Who takes the first step, and how do you get off the ground? And they said that the process usually begins with the site owner, so in this case, the town, issuing a request for proposals for an RFP. And it would be an RFP to explore the feasibility of putting solar on the brownfields. And then from there, the process goes with the site owner selecting a developer based on the RFP responses, then entering into an agreement with that developer. And they said that the agreement typically would lease to the developer site control for some period of time. And under the agreement, the developer would bear the development costs. It would go out and retain the engineering, procurement, and construction contractor. And it would work with the federal and state agencies to determine what could be installed on the site. And it would explore interconnection with National Grid for the facility that's ultimately developed. It gave us some tips with regard to things we should think about if we want to go this route for an RFP, including providing guidance on what part of the site are we interested in getting proposals on. So would it be only the landfill and lagoon area? Would it be other land areas? Or would it be for floating solar panels over part of the pond itself? And the more that we could define in the RFP, the areas in which we're interested in potential solar development, the better the process would move forward and the more likely the bids that we would get could be readily compared to one another. They gave us some information with regard to what's typical in these processes. AC Power said its average solar facility is about 5 megawatts. It has a 1 megawatt minimum. Just for context, 1 megawatt facility would be enough to power about 200 average size homes. The town should think about what requirements it wants in the RFP for site beautification or any other conditions that it would be would want to make sure that the developer includes when it considers its bids. And he said that the town should think about options. Does the town want to buy the power from the solar facility? Does it want the developer to sell the power to third parties, including groups of residents, some combination of the two? Typically, the power purchase agreement for these facilities is priced at an average of about 10% off of National Grid's rates, and we were advised to include those rates in the RFP. The developer takes responsibility for the decommissioning costs. If there's environmental remediation, if it's related directly to the construction of the solar facility, that's the developer's responsibility, but the site owner would continue to bear all and any other remediation costs. And they said the typical timeline from the time to issuing an RFP to operation is about 2 years, and the critical path is usually the interconnection with National Grid. So it gave us some information to think about, if the town decides it wants to go this route, including some things up front. But as we think about different areas of the site, are we interested in solar at all? If we are, where? What conditions do we want to make sure we include right up front in the RFP? But that's the typical process that they laid out for us. So it gave us at least a jumping off point for beginning to think about this.
Thank you, Pierre. Thanks. I think the more information we gather on these, it sort of starts to feel like some use of the property starts to come together. Are there any questions for Peter? Mark, you're talking on mute.
No, I was going to say I don't have anything now because I think we're going to have to rehash this all at the next meeting. And, it's really good information, but I just want to be careful that we. Yeah, no. Wasn't intended for decision making. Again, just as we're understanding options. This one sort of literally fell in our lap as a result of that webinar. So we'll have property reuse will be a discussion, and Peter, if you can join us again, that would be great, or whomever. Yep. Okay. Any other comments before I move on to
our next meeting? Okay. So, unless the governor's orders change, we need to think about coming back together in person, which logistically I know could be a little challenging, but we need to, I'll take care of obviously getting a room and a space. This day and time sort of seems to work for most folks. We've done Wednesdays and Thursdays. Does 4 p.m. still work for everyone if we have to meet in person? Yes, seeing, yes, okay. Mary Kay, yes? Metza, okay, all right. And again, if we have a quorum, we can still have a virtual component, so we would just have to figure that out. Mark?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you're gonna sort out the membership issue at probably on the 22nd?
Yeah.
If in fact it turns out to be 19 members, we might need to do some type of poll as to meeting times to make sure, there's, I don't want to necessarily.
If it's 19 members, I'm not going to be the chair.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's not 19 members.
The circus. No, I don't think it's going to.
I'd like to think the selectmen have control of membership. They can just take a vote on revising it. But, so I guess do you want to move forward with a tentative meeting date?
Yeah, I would like to put something tentative on the calendar so that we can move forward. And I would propose Wednesday, June 30th at 4 p.m.
Okay, that works for me. So.
And again, I know we don't have a full group here, but just. And seeing a nod, Ellen, yes, Jen, yes, Hank?
Looks good to
Yes.
me.
Thumbs up, okay.
Too
Gary?
many windows.
I'll check, but I think it's probably okay.
Okay. And I'll obviously also check about the ability for, if we have a quorum, for virtual presentation, or virtual participation, that's certainly usually allowed, although it's not always easy if you're not in the meeting room, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, so June 30, 4 p.m., and I will secure a conference room for that meeting. And I'll certainly update this group before and following the selectmen's meeting, keep you posted as to what's going on. So sorry for the confusion. And thank you to Westborough TV for taping this meeting for us, recording it. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Mark. And we'll just do a quick roll call vote. Jen?
Yes.
Ellen? Yes, she's nodding. Okay. Hank?
Roush, yes.
Mark?
Yes.
And Gary?
I think you just took a vote without a quorum. I think you
Oh,
can just
geez.
adjourn.
So can we not adjourn?
I think you can just adjourn the meeting.
All right. Okay. Well, we're just going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you. All right. We'll scratch that vote. Sorry for the confusion, you guys.